It really feels like there's nobody ever out there using my boy Hisuian Decidueye, but today it's time for me to make people fear the owl. Thing's a grass fighting type, which is fairly uncommon, and in terms of stats, it's kinda decent at best. Base 112 attack is its only real redeeming quality, is it's slow and not super bulky, but it does get some help in some other ways. First of all, its scrappy ability is super nice in allowing us to hit ghost types with fighting moves. Plus, I feel like people just overlook the fact that this also makes it immune to Intimidate. So first, we're gonna go ahead and boost up with some Swords Dance, and then it's time to fire off its signature move in Triple Arrows. This is a 90 power fighting move that honestly does a lot of different things. It has a high crit chance, has a 50% chance to drop the opponent's defense by 1 stage, and it comes with a built-in 30% chance to flinch. We've also got Leaf Blade for some dual stab, and then we round things off with solid priority and Shadow Sneak, since we're naturally slow. If we toss on a spell tag or just a life orb for some extra damage in general, the sneak becomes pretty damn useful. Plus, Terra Ghost can boost this up while also providing some defensive help at the same time. Hisuian Decidueye is definitely not top tier by any means, but I think it's a really cool Pokemon, so today we're gonna see what we can get it to do. I personally really like the fact that Hisuian Decidueye just decided to start punching some people and was like, you know what, I'm fighting type now. Go ahead and catch these owl hands. While Buddy is ranked extremely low in terms of usage stats, one thing you cannot deny is that fella has a sweet hat. And we're gonna go ahead and show that thing off today. If this sounds like a fun time to you, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free, it only takes you a second, you probably won't regret it, and I'm always trying to, post some videos showing some love to Pokemon that, don't always, get the spotlight. So, before we jump into the battle, I want to give a huge shout out to a sponsor that I'm personally extremely excited about. Shout out to Elestrals Awakened. I'm not gonna lie, you seem like someone who's interested in games like Pokemon, Legend of Zelda, or Octopath Traveler, and boy do I have some news for you. Elestrals Awakened is a brand new 2.5D pixel art monster catching RPG for PC and Nintendo Switch that is set in a beautiful world inspired by Greek mythology. I'm gonna be honest when I say the amount of love put into the development of this game looks really on another level. Honestly, the art direction is insane. You can bond with elemental spirits, challenge divines, and explore Titan temples that include tons of puzzles and secrets. The game features 8 elemental spirits and over 100 unique Elestrals, and even includes the ability to hunt for stellar rare Elestrals that are alternate color forms with unique abilities and features. So what I can offer you today is the limited time opportunity to join an incredible passion project with crazy big potential. From now until November 7th, this is your one chance to back the Elestrals Awakened Kickstarter campaign. You can obtain alpha and beta access, receive exclusive in-game unlocks, purchase exclusive Kickstarter promo packs and add-ons, and even become an NPC or caster in the game, which I think is just such a sick perk. If this game sounds cool to you, don't miss out on the chance to back the Elestrals Awakened Kickstarter campaign. Again, you only have until November 7th. The link to the project will be in my video description. I definitely recommend checking it out. And with that, let's go ahead and get back into the battle. Alright, so it turns out my opponent is going to go ahead and lead off with the Trevenant, and that is not something that I really expected to see. Spooky Boy comes out. I decided to lead off with the Slowbro because honestly, from the team preview, I really just didn't know what their lead option was going to be, and in general, Slowbro's a pretty safe, thick boy to toss out there. So, I realized one thing is that I don't really have a great option to stay in here, and Decidueye, honestly, defensively checks this thing pretty well, but also if they click Leech Seed, your boy gets a free switch in. So I go to the Decidueye, they do go for the Leech Seed, which is great. I got my big ass talons that are feeling battle ready, and here's the thing. This thing most likely is also gonna have Will-O-Wisp here. And while being burnt is not great, I can go for a Swords Dance, and that essentially, if they do have the Wisp here, that kind of negates that. So I get the sharp boost. We are feeling extra sharp over here. They do go for the Will-O-Wisp. I was thinking maybe there's a shot if it has Leech Seed also, it won't be carrying that. It probably just has 2 coverage moves, but I do get burnt, and that is gonna hinder us a little bit here. Thing is though, I still have a great matchup here to go for another Swords Dance, and that's why I'm not that worried about the Wisp. After 2 Swords Dances, I'm in a spot where I'm gonna be able to do a ton of damage regardless. So here's the fun part, they end up clicking Curse. Now, obviously, as a ghost type going for Curse, it's not generally the type of Curse you're used to seeing. It stabs himself with a freaking metal bar, and it also activates a Citrus Berry at that point, which is funny because now this thing, it has Harvest, it can get that Citrus Berry back, and I do kind of enjoy when ghost types go for curses. It's actually really interesting. So, sadly now, I will be afflicted by a curse every single turn, and I'm taking Burn Chip, and moral of the story, your boy's got to start getting some damage here because I'm kind of on a timer, but I'm feeling pretty good with 2 Swords Dances here, and now I can just kind of start firing off some arrows. Now, I do go for the triple arrows here, even on the Trevenant, I do see a kill at that range. But also, of course, I can touch it because it's, you know, I got the Scrappy being ghost type. We do not care. I can straight up punch Ghost, which is pretty badass. They decided to switch into freaking Mecha Tyranitar, who has an absolutely horrible time being on the receiving end of some arrows. So that's a free knockout for your boy Decidueye over here. And while I do take some burn, I will also take some curse. And that's got to be one of the most painful things. Every single turn, just a bar shoved right into you. So, you know, that it is unfortunate. But before we go down, I do plan on being able to stir some more stuff up here. So they decide to go back into the Trevenant. Now, looking at this thing's health here, I'm at +4 attack. I'm burnt. I'm feeling like, though, a triple arrows should be enough to still get a kill. I go for the fighting move on the Ghost. It is able to knock it out. We get a critical hit. But unless this thing was running like max defense, I don't think the crit mattered there. So we grab the kill. No more nonsense coming from the tree. That's honestly great because that thing can just harvest citrus berries and stay alive and burn things and lead seed and go for more curses. And yeah, you know the deal. Anyway, I do end up living the curse and the burn with just a little bit of HP left, which is great. Now, as they decide to go into the Braviary, thing is going to be faster. And as much as I would like to go for the Terra Ghost Shadow Sneak, I don't think it sees a kill there. So I also don't really want to waste that in just die on the next turn. So I just go for the Shadow Sneak. I'm able to do huge damage there. And as the Braviary goes for a Calm Mind, smart play because I just end up going down to my burn here. But with that amount of damage that Decidueye was able to get, that makes this thing a whole lot less scary to deal with. And as long as the Hisuian Braviary doesn't go for at least stack a couple of Esper Wings to boost its speed, it's not that scary. It's not that fast. And I also have a freaking Mabosstiff who can come in here with my sad mustache. I am Choice Scarf. I can outspeed. I have the super effective Crunch. They don't really have a great position to switch out. That's one thing I really like about Mabosstiff, is that with this thing's stakeout ability, it really does not incentivize, you know, wanting to switch something into it. So I'm able to just take a little bite, taste like chicken, KFC's new psychic chicken, and now they can go into whatever they want. So this thing is a problem. I'm not even gonna lie. Anytime I see a Hisuian Lilligant, this thing is a threat. The buddy's got his wooden clogs on, and I know that they're probably gonna either do two things here. Either they just go right for damage, or they click Victory Dance, which a lot of the time these things do. So here's the thing. Predicting the VD, I'm going to bring in Tinkaton, and there's one reason for that, but Victory Dance is scary. This is going to be able to boost attack, defense, and speed. It's a crazier Dragon Dance, and now Lilligant, just like that, is a massive threat. But I have a Mirror Herb, baby. I'm able to copy all of those stat boosts, and if you are familiar with the Tinkaton video I made on this thing, you'll know that that's not super ideal. I mean, it is because I do. This is a special attacking Tinkaton who's supposed to use the Mirror Herb via Flatter, but I figure that's one way to do it. Now, I am actually faster. I'm able to get off a Draining Kiss, and since I'm special attacking, that is unfortunately not going to do as much as it should. But as they go for a second Victory Dance here, the thing is I have a defensive boost of my own that I stole from them, so I'm thinking I can still potentially take an attack and then get off one more Draining Kiss. Now, as they go for the close combat, check this out. It misses. Now, at first I was very confused on how that just missed, but then I realized that this thing has the ability Hustle, which reduces accuracy but is able to grant some more damage. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Hustle is my least favorite ability to use. They get the most crucial miss of all time. Probably would have sealed the game for him had they connected there, because yeah, +2 close combat, that would have knocked me out. And I was just gained a nice little gift from Lord RNG, and I appreciate that. As they go Pelipper, they're just gonna head out. They're like, you know what, this game sucks. Buddy's returning it to GameStop probably as we speak, and that Hustle miss was absolutely diabolical. I do feel bad. I'll give you the honorary win on that one. I'm not gonna lie, that thing would have got me. But as Lord Arceus gives us a nice little gift there, that's gonna bring us into game number 2 against an extremely interesting looking squad. I'm not gonna lie, this Buddy's team is looking crazy. First thing of note, we got a little bit of a weather war situation. I've got sun, they've got rain. They've also got some sticky webs, and I'm not gonna lie, I get almost more afraid when I see a team that looks like this versus like some actual like big threats. People that are cooking stuff up like this are scary. And with, let's just go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so as to be expected, we are gonna have to deal with a little Spidops lead. The Spidops comes out looking extra sticky this evening, and I decided to go Lycanroc just because I can set up some Stealth Rock. I'm not necessarily super worried about the sticky web on my team. I've got the Torkoal for potential Rapid Spin. I'm just going to lay down some rocks and have a nice time. If they want a Circle Throw, I guess that's fine. They do go ahead and set up some sticky web. I feel like Spidops has truly been hoed in terms of viability. This thing, it's such a cool I like his animations. I like the guy. It's just, he just sucks. But they end up now going for a Silk Trap, which is a move that I always forget exists. And as I try to Accelerock that, I get caught up in Buddy's web. Buddy's got webs all over the damn place. I get caught up without even switching into Stealth Rock, and now I get a speed drop. So not really a big difference because I'm just clicking, you know, priority Accelerock. Anyway, as I go for that, I figure I honestly just kind of want to break this thing's focus sash. So that is what I do. I don't get a ton of damage on that. Important to note. And as they go for a low kick, we're just over here basically doing the exact same damage to each other, which, you know, is fine. I'm just going to continue to go for an Accelerock. Honestly, I feel like it would be great had they gone for another low kick there because I do want to get this Lycanroc into low enough health to where Endeavor will be helpful. So I stay in. As I go for an Accelerock, they bring in freaking Olive Tree. Buddy comes in doing his circle impression, and I now also just knock the seed out of him. Pause. That he's going to go ahead and get some grassy seed all around, which honestly is fine. Gives me a little bit of healing. And also what is great is that even though I have a speed drop, I'm still faster than the slow-ass Olive Tree. Buddy's freaking anchored to the ground, so I can outspeed. And people just forget about the fact that Lycanroc has hands. I go for the close combat. Shout out to that thing being part normal for no reason at all. And that is going to be enough to knock it out. So that's a free kill on an Arboliva, which feels great. But Lycanroc was in a good spot. Now freaking young Big Bush comes in. And now I am afraid of Beartic. I have the speed drop, so I know it's going to be faster. And as much as I don't want this thing to start setting up Swords Dances, I also figure if I go Torkoal, I honestly wall this thing pretty nicely for a couple reasons. First of all, because with Drought up, it's not going to get great damage with like a Liquidation. Plus, knowing that they have the grassy terrain up, they can't really get great damage with Earthquake. If you don't know, grassy terrain reduces damage from Earthquake by 50%, which is cool. So they end up going for the Aqua Jet there. And Aqua Jet in the sun is just going to barely tickle. Torkoal's like, yeah, I know my eyes aren't open, but I still didn't even know you attacked me. Now, they are going to switch out the Beartic. And the Weather War situation is honestly really interesting. They can just go immediately into Pelipper, reset the sun to their rain. And looking at it, I'm not necessarily like, it's not a huge deal, them getting up Drizzle. I mean, the Beartic is kind of the main thing that benefits from that. I guess it's actually the only thing. But as I go for the Will-O-Wisp, just on the off chance that that thing wanted to stay in and start Swords Dancing or something, I end up instead burning freaking Toilet Bird, which is fine. And now, obviously, I do want to conserve the Torkoal here. I don't really have much business staying in. And here's the fun part. I decided to go into Lycanroc, honestly, just kind of as a sack switch. I bring this thing in just to die, but to my surprise, they end up swapping into the Scyther, which is going to come in and just immediately take, you know, almost 50% from the Stealth Rock switch in, which is always amazing. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to prioritize getting the rocks up. But now we're in a fantastic spot to just go ahead and either pressure this thing out or just grab a knockout with an Accelerock. Now, I probably should have gone for a Rapid Spin on the turn that I clicked the Will-O-Wisp, and that's my bad. But it's fine. The grass is going to disappear. At this point, I threaten this thing with an Accelerock, and obviously I'm going to click that. I don't have the benefit of having my Focus Sash intact, but it is going to either die or bait into a Terra, and as you can see, they are going to have to use a Terra here, which I'm kind of afraid of, but I mean, not super, because even if this thing gets up a Swords Dance, it's I should still have an answer. Just the fact that I got so much chip on it where I'm not that afraid. Now, Accelerock, as they go for that Terra Ground, is unfortunate, not going to do anything, and as they get off a Trailblaze, with that Technician boost and whatever, it's going to be able to knock out Lycanroc because I'm made out of, you know, glass bones and paper skin. So here's the thing. They get the speed boost from the Trailblaze. But the great part is, unless this thing has Swords Dance set up, I'm not that afraid. I mean, honestly, Scyther is pretty scary. But what I can do here is immediately bring in Young Turtle, and I will be able to reset the sun. But also knowing that I can live in attack. I mean, there's not really much that this thing can click against Torkoal to knock me out. So I'm like, I get a free opportunity to Rapid Spin here. And then as long as they don't get more Trailblazes, I would have Protosynthesis, Sandy Shocks to be able to just outspeed it. So that's kind of the game plan there. As I go for the Rapid Spin, they realize probably it's kind of a wall that they're not going to get through. And they decide to go back into Pelipper. This freaking bird keeps coming in and resetting my weather, grinding my gears. But I get the Rapid Spin off, which is amazing. Now I don't have to worry about Sticky Web. And that's kind of a decent sigh of relief there. What's also really cool is to know that if this Pelipper stays in like one more turn, the burn will put it into range where the next switch in, it's going to die to the Stealth Rock. So that feels pretty good. Conserving the Torkoal, I know I can win the Weather War as long as this thing can't switch in and reset. So I figure I'm just going to bring in Tropius. I was thinking I would catch a Hydro Pump and live it easily. Instead, while we thought Hurricane season was over, they go for the Hurricane and I live it with 1, which doesn't really help my cause all that much. I mean, kind of, because I come in, I grab a Lychee Berry, which is hilarious. Then I harvest another Lychee Berry, and bro's just straight farming for the love of the game. The Lychee Berries are not going to give me any more speed to be able to outspeed the Pelipper, but it's still funny that I lived with 1, kind of. Not gonna lie, this Tropius is a real pain in the ass to set up, and sometimes you just gotta have the right situation. Today, it does not seem like it's gonna be Tropius's day. I can always say this thing's name wrong, probably, but Tropius is gonna go down to a surf, and that is, yeah, that's okay. No bananas for us today, but as Pelipper's over here taking burn, I'm in a great spot to get some good momentum going on my side. So I figure what I can do first is go Turtle. I'm just going to reset the drought again, which is, again, fine. I can now live a Hydro Pump from this thing if that's what it wants to click. But what I also realize is it's not going to click Hurricane, surely. So I can go ahead and grab myself a switch into Decidueye, and it feels like the Decidueye might just be in a pretty damn good spot to try to get some stuff going here, late game. So they end up switching into Spidops, however, as much as I wanted to bring this thing in on a Hydro Pump. Spidops coming in here is actually perfect as well. As long as, you know, I don't get Circle Throwed as I try to set up here, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Now, they can reset the Sticky Web if they want. I am certainly just going to go ahead and start dancing with some swords. You know, nothing like... Sometimes you just gotta get your groove on with some pointy boys. I go for the Swords Dance here as they Silk Trap. That is perfect. The failed Silk Trap is amazing, meaning they probably can't get it off again a second time. And as I just go for a Shadow Sneak here, they try for the second Silk Trap. That is going to fail. And my Shadow Sneak is going to come through. And we just kick him with the Talon in a ghostly fashion. And that's going to be a dead Spidops. So we've got a Swords Dance on the Decidueye. I'm feeling like I'm in a fantastic spot for this thing to make a difference in the late game. And as they go back into Pelipper to likely just try to reset the rain, it is not going to happen. The Stealth Rock is going to block the Drizzle before it's able to go off. And now we're rolling. So in comes the Beartic. This is kind of their last ditch effort to make things happen. And I have a plan here. What I can do is I go for the Terra Ghost. Not only is that going to be able to boost my damage on a Shadow Sneak, which I think should be enough to kill, but also I will be able to now live any Ice Stab this thing wants to throw at me. And then just like that, Decidueye cleans things up. So we're going Ghost like Danny Phantom out here. I fire off the Shadow Sneak, and all you need is a little Spell Tag boosted, Terra boosted Swords Dance Shadow Sneak, and that is gonna knock out the Beartic, which is quite satisfying. And now all they've got is 2 Mons left. They have the Ice Cube, and then they've got the Scyther, who is truly not doing so hot. So as they go Ice Cube first, this thing, it does not have any snow up. What I can do is just be able to just bop Buddy with a little triple arrows, and we're just gonna crack open a cold one with the boys, but they just decide to head out, realizing that the Decidueye got him in a spot that they cannot really come back from. So sometimes you just need a position to pop a little Swords Dance and have yourself a time with the Decidueye. This thing is fun. It's slow, but honestly, it's still really fun to use, and I just like the guy. So look, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. I really do appreciate it, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.